the MSP Initiative, MSP Talk podcast. 2 days away from Valentine's Day. So if you play that game, if you subscribe, I hope you have all your ducks in a row, or you better rush out now and figure it out, because time stops for nobody. Some housekeeping, and then we'll go into the good stuff. A lot of our in-person events here at MSP Initiative really kick off here in the next very short little while. So for example, our effective agenda for the next few months really is we're going to be doing a block party at Zero Trust World. It's about 2 weeks out in Orlando. So if you're headed to Zero Trust World, which is put on by Threat Locker for the larger community. Looking forward to seeing you there in person. Not too far after that, I think somewhere in like the next 45 days after that will be the Enable Empower in Fort Lauderdale. We'll be doing an event there, so we're excited to be working with these guys again. I know we've worked with them in the past in Europe and in the US as they kind of alternate their conferences. So looking forward to working with the Enable team. After that, we'll be headed to Las Vegas to work alongside of the Kaseya team with Kaseya Connect. So if you're headed to Vegas, we'll be doing something on site at the MGM. I know it's hard because Vegas has a lot of blinking lights, but we're going to try and make it an easy walk down the hallway thing for you if you're going to be there. And then right after that is our double whammy into June at the beginning of the summertime. We'll be headed to Kaseya Connect Europe in Prague. I don't know if you know this, but a pint of beer in Prague is like less than $1. So if that might be an incentive. And then to close out June, we will be once again working alongside with our good friends from Roost for the Flow Conference in Nashville. So let me just rattle that real quick one more time. We're going to Orlando with Zero Trust World, Fort Lauderdale with Enable Empower, Vegas with Kaseya Connect. What am I missing? Oh, Prague with Kaseya Connect Europe, and then Roost Nashville. And that takes us to mid-year. That's our in-person agenda, until mid-year. So there's my housekeeping, mspinitiative.com. That's where we'll post all of the information about all of these events. As you can imagine, we labor of love. We love doing these. They're not easy. It may seem so, but thank you to all of our community partners for helping us make it happen. So put all the housekeeping on the shelf now. We bring back longtime friend and somebody who has been in and out of the trench in MSP land, Ian Richardson. How you doing today, buddy?
And I'm awesome, George. How are you, man?
Doing good, man. I'm trying to stay warm. 32 degrees right now, but feels like 20 something here in Philly. And it's been a cold snap, for a lot of America. And looking forward to a temperature increase sometime soon.
It really has. You may notice, if anyone's seen me on camera, I am not in my home office. Carrie and I got in the van and we drove south until we didn't need coats, and it turns out Savannah, Georgia is that spot. So it's like 65 degrees and sunny outside right now.
Yeah, I have a colleague of mine that's traveling in Canada right now. He's like, "Oh man, temperature finally went up." I was like, "Oh yeah, what is it?" He's like, "It's 40 something." I was like, "It's warmer where you are in Canada than it is here, brother. I don't, something's wrong.
That's
Something's
broke.
upside down." It's like that's just not right to me. But hey, he's had some, most of his week's been cold, and then he got to a warm patch, and I'm like, enjoy it. I was laughing. I said, go drink some mojitos or something.
Yeah, right. Like it's I'll see you on the beach then.
Exactly. So, obviously we only get to talk to you a couple times a year, and, large, chunks of time in the MSP space usually means a lot of rapid changes. As much as a lot of things change, a lot of things stay the same in MSP land. But, I'm curious, as a guy who had an MSP, exited an MSP, went to the other side, started a vendor, working on the vendor side, selling to MSPs. Like you've gone full circle now, I think.
Hmm.
Um, is the industry better than where you left it 3 years ago, 36 months ago? Is it worse? Is it different? What's your big picture view on the space?
So, a huge amount of things are different, and a huge amount of things are exactly the same. That's what's the probably the most surprising. I mean, when it comes to, so I sold end of 21, and end of 21 to now. If you think about security, which obviously everyone talks about security, and has been for a long time, the functional differences in what is possible today versus in 2021 to help align with a customer, keep them safe, and maximize their ability to selectively manage risk. It's huge. It's night and day. But
Mm,
even more than security, and at the risk of I'm not going to be on the buzzword train, but everybody and their sister is talking about AI. And in 2021, that buzzword wasn't there. Like, yes, LLMs existed. Yes, it was cooking in the background, but nothing compared to today.
mm.
Like that wildfire is rapid. But on the same token, MSPs are still still delivering service. The service model, a recurring fixed fee agreement, is still the norm. Uh, Providing support and consultation and a package of security, continuity, some NIST-aligned services, still the normative way of delivering things. There's not this shift where, I mean, are there cloud-only providers? Sure. Are there voice specialist providers? Sure. Are there folks who are starting up AI consultancy practices? Sure. But that's those are the edge cases, right? 90% of the market, we're still delivering what we were delivering in 2021, and we're still delivering what we were delivering in like 2011 as well. Like it really is. There are certain things that just are the same, and that's surprising to me.
So I'm curious, we I often talk about everybody's perception of these numbers, right? And when I
Mhm.
say these numbers, they're numbers that I think you probably are more familiar with than most, which is, you know, if you take whether if you, I don't care whether you just take them in North America or you zoom out to the world, like how many IT service providers and whatever acronym they want to be categorized in exist, right? I've heard
Mhm.
30,000, I've heard 90,000, I've heard 400,000. I don't know. These sound like monopoly numbers to me. Like I don't know what the actual number is. Maybe you have a better guess than I do.
Yeah.
And what is the ebb and flow? I've always heard the bottom 20% churn in and churn out every 36 months, right? Like people open, people close. How many of those guys, below, a million or two in revenue stick around, all that jazz. Do you believe like so what are your opinion on those two numbers? What is, and maybe we'll just narrow it to North America for now because I think the international markets are, could be all over the place. So how
Mhm.
many IT service provider, managed service provider, technology companies, whatever, roll them all together. What
Yep.
is that number from your perspective in North America? And then what is that bottom percentage of just turmoil? Like what is that percentage to you?
Hmm. So that's a really, really interesting question. And I get to use my lawyer's favorite answer. It depends,
Okay.
which is infuriating. So if you say, hey, how many technology companies, small business technology companies are around North America? A very common quoted figure is around 45,000. And we'd
Okay.
agree with that.
That's
Technology aligned companies.
okay. Last person I asked this to, that was double. You're half their number. So I would love to
Uh,
hear why you feel that number is right.
so when I say technology services, I mean technology services. They're delivering a service in some way, shape, or form as their primary revenue drivers. So the software vendors do not fall into this.
Okay.
A product only company, someone who's a reseller or an office equipment dealer does not fall into this. You're
Okay.
looking at 40, 45,000. And people are like, oh yeah, 40, 45,000 MSPs. That's not what I said. That's a technology service company.
Mm-hmm.
I would define an MSP as someone who primarily exists on delivering a fixed fee service contract in whatever structure it might be. Maybe it's an all you can eat, maybe it's a scope of services and some time and material on top, but there's a fixed fee relationship with a customer for common scopes of service, including but not limited to some sort of support, help desk, whatever, some sort of consultation and advice, some sort of security service, some sort of continuity service.
Oh,
Those
okay.
big four makes an MSP. If you look at that, my number gets smaller.
Hmm.
I'm going to go to the states in the US, the 50 states. If you look at people who are delivering that either as their primary model or they have a major service arm geared around managed services, by that definition, it's around 16,000 of them.
Whoa, we went from 90, last person's guess to 16,000.
1,000 who are doing managed services as an offer.
That's not a big number.
That's not a big number. And it like when you think about we're both on the vendor side of the fence and we're both
Hmm.
scrappy bootstrapped guys, but there are a large amount of vendors in this space that go to venture capital and private equity and spin a tale of this gargantuan managed services TAM, 40,000, 90,000. I saw one database that said there's 150,000 MSPs in North America. The TAM, total addressable market, is massively inflated. That doesn't mean that there's not a huge amount of market opportunity here, but there is not the numbers that people think there are. Not people who are doing this.
So I'm confused.
Yeah.
Let me throw.
Yeah.
I'm going to piggyback off this. So when you go to and again, MSP sandbox, we're sub-industry of the larger tech industry, right? Like the
Yep.
people, the companies, the brands at the top of this specific sandbox, right? Like Enables and ConnectWises and Kaseyas and Barracudas and Ninjas and like those guys, right? Like
Yep.
and most of those have PEVC guys behind them, but like anytime I've ever sat in a room at a conference with a big screen in front of me and they're telling me that they got 40,000, 50,000,
Mhm.
60,000, but you're telling me there's only 16,000. So what makes up the rest of that partner base?
Everything else. You'll have the value-added resellers. You'll have
Mm,
the office equipment dealers. You'll have a break fix company. You'll have a computer repair shop. You'll have an application house, web hosts, all types of these other things that maybe have filled out a form or they're in the Crunch database or they registered for a webinar on something. They went to an event. They somehow got into something or Zoom Info was
mm,
absolutely atrocious at this, or Apollo or one of the big data brokers classified them as a IT services company. There is
mm.
no NAICS or SIC code for managed services.
That's
If you
true.
think about accountants, there's a bajillion different classifications for accountants, for law firms, lawyers versus legal services, a healthcare clinic versus a hospital versus an outpatient surgery center versus an ambulance company. There are all these designations at the federal level that make it
Mm,
easy to classify businesses. We don't have that. We're still the wild, wild west in the
mm,
MSP land. And
mm.
because the data brokers don't have some standardized way, a number that they can just check the box and be like, oh, tax code filing, there we go, we're good. It's all a guessing game. And if you talk
Wow.
to the average data broker, the Zoom info rep, someone outside the industry, they have no earthly idea what an MSP is. They could
Mm.
not tell you that. Even people who work for vendors in the space sometimes struggle with that because they're having to come in and do things so quickly, and there's not this ingrained education on what's the business model, what's the struggle, what does a company look like.
It's interesting. I'm going back in time, but not too far back.
Uh-huh.
Then CEO of Continuum. Continuum merged.
Mm-hmm.
with ConnectWise, right? It's my understanding Thoma Bravo merged those two
Yep.
companies together, right? But at the time, Michael George, I think it was at a Continuum Navigate. That was their name of their conference. The thing was in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Was saying that they concentrated on just the NFL markets, and I'm like, just the NFL markets. I was like, there's 32 teams. Some teams are in the same market, right? Jets, Giants, Rams, Chargers. I was like, so when you figure, like at the time it was San Francisco, Oakland, right? I know that's different now. But when you look at just the NFL markets, he was saying that that largely covered approximately 100 cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow. And so I'm going from memory here. He said that 88% of the addressable market was within 100 miles of these 100 cities. Does that still track to you? Does that sound right?
So I wouldn't say 88%, but what I would say is in those 100 cities, I would commit to 75% of the total addressable market is
Okay.
within that area. There are a lot of MSPs who are presenting as an MSP, at least by all publicly accessible and judgeable factors. There are a lot of MSPs in small towns, small municipalities, etc., that
Mm,
are right out. I mean, that 100-mile range, I might like I'd really have to look at it and actually do some analysis. I know that in major metropolitan areas, those MSAs, which is usually defined more in the 50-mile range, you got 75%. So you extend it out to 100, you could probably grab another 5, 7.
mm.
So it might not be as high as 88, but 80s, I'd say I'm 80% comfortable with 80% of the 10.
Okay. All right. So let's flip the other way. If the Zoom Infos and the Apollos and all these guys out there, we're not definable enough for them to categorize the community properly. There have been some homegrown companies in the space that seem to try to do this on a sub industry level. I'm concerned though because as many times as I've seen it tried, it seems like that data is the product and like, hey, tell us what vendors you're using. Hey, we'll tell you what the average price point is in your area, right? Like that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I don't know if it was accurate. I don't know if people actually tried it, used it, but it doesn't seem like there was a good outcome from any of that.
And I would agree with that because you're looking at self-reported data, and
Mm-hmm.
self-reported data is subject to bias.
Mm,
Well, we're a $2 million MSP, but really they're a $1.7 million MSP. We have 15 people, they have 13 people. It's a
mm,
little bit of inflationary, I'm talking to someone else about my thing. I want to appear a little bit bigger, but not
mm-hmm.
such a broad-faced lie that everyone's like, no, you're not. They're not a 40-person company, they have 12, right? So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of fudging around the edges, especially on the smaller end of the market. You talk with a $10 million shop, they'll be like 10 million and the like, oh, how many staff you have? God, I don't know, 50? Let me get you an answer. Oh yeah, I was wrong. We have 62, right?
Right.
They'll ask someone and admit when they don't know. Don't hold me to that number. Where, a little bit smaller, there'd be a little bit of a fudge. Not always, but a little bit.
So does the 2026 wrinkle into this with all this new stuff, right?
Hmm.
Whether it works or not, the AI conversation. I'm supposed to be able to do a lot more with a lot less.
Uh-huh.
So doesn't that kind of lean towards, hey, I could be a $5 million MSP with 7 people.
I mean, if there's a $5 million MSP with 7 people, I want them to raise their hand and I'd just like to pay them money to let me in bed and watch stuff because that's a pretty magic thing. Um, this is Spot in the Sandbox, okay? From Spot in the Sandbox, but I talk with a lot of MSPs.
Mm-hmm.
And anecdotally, from my Spot in the Sandbox, generally staff count will equate to somewhere between 150,000 and 350,000 of revenue supported per head. So if you got a 10-person MSP, 1.5 to 3.5. And the edge cases are like, if you think about the quartiles or, quintiles, really, the bottom 20%, the 60% in the middle, and the top 20%, or if you do the SLI thing, the bottom 25, middle 50, top 25. Those edge cases, the 1.5 10-seat guy, he's going to be in that bottom one. And the 3.5 guy is going to be scraping the edge past best in class.
Mm.
And they'll be running like a 3, 5, 10-person company is running hot. There's going to be some functional things that aren't being done there. I mean, yeah, they'll have some great process, some great efficiency, but there's going to be some lack of investment. The team's probably burning the candle at both ends on certain areas. Maybe some strategic use of outsourcing or laying certain things off.
Interesting. So who keeps track then, or does anybody, when all these companies merge, sell, get acquired, get rolled up, whatever? I mean, there's so many ways to
Mhm.
say it, but you get the idea, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
like when I hear, hey, we've just made our 10th acquisition, and you're like, well, how do I, you know, they may still be operating as that original brand. It's not
Mhm.
clear, right? That so and so is really part of this bigger company. Is there really a source of truth to that?
So it's interesting. The most common way that I've heard, and then I'll tell you the way that I do it.
Mm-hmm.
The most common way that I've heard is watching the wires. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the major firms will release a news wire if you're setting up, and you can do the poor man's Google News alert. Hey, Evergreen announces that they bought this, or whatever. VC3 announces that they bought this company. And it
Mm-hmm.
always gets submitted to the news wires and it'll get sucked up and you get a little alert and you're like, oh, this person got bought by that person. That's the poor man's way of doing it. It's does pretty good. The way we do it is we watch website redirects
Mm-hmm.
and watch the public face, which a lot of what I've been intoning, the way that I know that there's 16,000 some odd MSPs in the States is because their webpage told me so. I know when someone gets bought because suddenly their website now is this website, right? ABC Co is now redirected to XYZ Net. It's either a rebrand or an acquisition. And if I look at how long both companies' websites have been registered for, it's pretty easy to see. Oh, it didn't get registered in 2026. These guys have been around for 12 years. They just got acquired.
It's actually not a horrible way to do it, to be honest. Okay, so let me talk about the future facing space and then we'll rewind a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
just read it in my feed 2 hours ago. That they say that the white collar worker is displaced within the next 18 months. I said that is a bold statement, Cotton. And the
Mm-hmm.
little clip there from Dodgeball, but I'm just not sure I buy that. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think that white collar workers are going anywhere, just the same as when the manufacturing line came up, that blue collar workers are going to be eliminated. I think the nature of work will change. Um, it's absolutely true that LLMs and AI, call it whatever you want, is the dumbest it's ever going to be. It's
Hmm.
only going to get better, right? But it was not, what, 2 years ago when we were all making fun of like finger toes, right? I can tell it's AI because of all these things, and then the hands are feet, right? Like that's the internet meme. But what is changing is the nature of work, and it's very readily apparent when you are working with a subject that you're deeply familiar with. You can spot the issues with AI and you can use AI to save time on any number of tasks. So it's much more an augmentation tool where certain things, if I think about accountants, an accountant with a customized LLM with very defined sources of truth will be able to insert a slew of profit and loss statements and find anomalies. Whereas before, 10 years ago, we would be looking for that manually or using some Excel functions. So the process will be faster. What was taking hours now takes minutes. And you multiply that by hundreds of tasks, the accountant's job has changed. It doesn't mean that people aren't going to have accountants. There may be less need for accountant capacity, so there may be some reduction in required accountants to service, but accountants aren't going to go away. And on the same token, if someone is not a subject matter expert, it's going to be readily apparent because there will be contradictions in what they present because AI can hallucinate. And until that hallucination problem is resolved, the experts will get more productive, and the people who are using AI as a crutch will continue to be hampered by its limitations. So you're going to create a gap. That's what I would say. Within 18 months, that gap will be wider than ever.
Interesting. Okay. So let's put all this together in a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Came from the MSP space, you exited, fast forward to today, you now have started and are running a SaaS company.
Yes.
And the reason I started going down all these data points is a lot of the information that I'm asking you questions about. And by the way, your answer is wildly not the same as a lot of the other people who are in channel positions,
Mm-hmm.
is about this information. So let's
Mm-hmm.
understand what all that means. Tell us what you're up to.
Yeah. So Fox and Crow comes from two people. Myself, who I had an MSP, built a reasonable MSP, sold it, and made a ton of mistakes along the way. That was great. Entrepreneurial university, learned by touching the stove, and a lot of
Mhm.
times I had to touch it 3 or 4 times. My
Same.
right, like hand scars. My co-founder, who's my business partner and my wife, Carrie, ran a telemarketing agency for 10 years, and they did two things. They set appointments for MSPs, which helped form a basis of a product by MSP for MSPs around selling more. And they also did partner recruitment for major vendors across the space. I won't
Mm.
list all of them because it'll take too long. But across all of those campaigns, Carrie did a very good job at channeling her inner spirit animal of a squirrel and kept and tracked a lot of different data points. And when we sold that call center, we kept that data set and said, all right, what are we going to do with this? And we sold the call center in 22. And myself and a guy who I've known for 20 years, went through school with him, whose most recent project before he started poking at this with me was helping OpenAI train ChatGPT 3.5 to take and pass the bar exam, said, this is pretty neat. Let's poke at this and see what we can do. And we had a good subset of data of across 45,000 companies all across the world, MSPs, non-MSPs, and they were relatively well categorized. We started looking for patterns and said, how could we identify what an MSP is? How could we find the trends? How could we find things? And through that, built software that always is searching everywhere online and ingests everything about an MSP that it presents publicly, its entire website, its entire social media presence, everything that is publicly accessible. And based off of the patterns we already knew, we can identify who's an MSP versus a VAR versus an application shop versus a computer repair guy, who's more mature in their marketing, who's less mature in their marketing, and ingest a lot of different data sources to answer fundamental questions. And that's the big picture. But I came prepared because that's like, okay, this is big. Let's do a really practical example. Every vendor I know, love them, hate them, we all go to shows because you got to. It's absolutely the worst way of business development in the channel, except compared to all the rest of them, right? Everybody goes to shows. And so a recent show was Write-A-Boom out in Vegas.
Mhm.
We took a little subsample of Write-A-Boom attendees and ran 105 MSPs through known MSPs through our system.
Mhm.
Out of those 105 MSPs, there's some interesting results. five of those MSPs are truly elite. 12 of them have it pretty 12 of them, including the five, have it pretty dialed in, meaning they've got great web presence. They have mature, consistent marketing. They've got structured service positioning in buyer focused language. They're oriented towards growth. And they're in a territory, a region, an NFL city, that's economic class status indicates that businesses have money to invest in technology. It's not an area that's depressed or scraping by. Think the difference between, I don't know, Midwest Rust Belt, like I'll pick on Detroit, even though I'm from Michigan, I love it. Like, let's pick on Detroit. Detroit versus Los Angeles. There's a
Mm,
different level of economic opportunity between the two.
fair.
Okay. You've got another 25 of them that are kind of in the middle. There's some moderate viability. They've got competent execution when it comes to how they're presenting themselves, partially installed marketing systems, and there's some potential, but they're not structurally elite. There's 38 of them that are pretty weak in every way, shape, and form. And the rest of that 105, I wouldn't like if I caught an SDR dialing the phone towards them, I'd slap the phone out of their hands and say, "Why'd you do that? They're not worth the time. It's drop them onto a newsletter nurture cycle and maybe they do an inbound."
All right, time out. 1 second.
Yep.
So what happens when I either A, go to one of these Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn feed guys who are like, we'll have AI. You tell us what websites that you want to have yours look like. We'll go copy and we'll give you your version of that. Probably not
Mhm.
the best idea, but it's out there. Or, hey, Joe, what marketing company did you work with? I want to have them redo my stuff. And now all of a sudden you look like you're punching above your weight. That's got to happen.
Oh yeah, 100%. But there's a difference between an episodic change in presence and
Hmm.
consistent performance. I can build a very beautiful website
Hmm.
and it'll tick all the boxes on a structural maturity level. But if I'm never updating it, if that content's stale dated, if I didn't properly SEO or GEO, like make myself show up in search engines, do things around there, if I'm not getting links from other like earned media, backlinks, and things of that nature, I'm going to be depressed in other areas of detectable maturity. So structurally, I'm an A. And in content consistency, I'm an F. Even better, I literally stole content from someone else. That plagiarism is able to be detected. There's really, really powerful stuff out there that can detect that.
But it sounds like a lot of the data points here are marketing data points. How do we know
Right.
how that translates into what kind of car are we driving here? How good is the company?
I'll give you an example. Out of those 16,000 MSPs,
Hmm.
80% of them haven't been able to cross the bar of updating their website more than once a year.
Mm.
If you don't have the ability to functionally do even the basics of marketing maturity, it points towards a growth mindset that is in its infancy. If you can't get around doing the basics of web presence management, the easy button stuff, how are you going to be able to do the easy button stuff of cross sell and upsell campaigns? Do you even know how to plan a campaign and penetration? How are you going to be doing email nurturing to your customers to warm up conversations? What's your follow up game look like? Are you even doing outbound? Do you dial the phone, bro?
That's a great. I would say most people the answer is no to that particular question,
And
which takes me into this thought. I'll let you finish, and I got one more
yeah,
for you.
well, but that's the thing is based off of public presence, and we don't just treat the website as the holy grail of truth. You've also got social media across multiple social platforms. You have SEO and GEO, you have paid search. There are all these different indicators that could show someone's doing something mature online. Someone's doing something mature in how they're presenting themselves to the world. And when you look at the net of that, that can be a reasonably good indicator of maturity for on the growth side of things. Now they
Fair.
might have a amazing sales engine and dog water delivery. Right? Can't judge that. You want to know how operationally mature they are? You got to go talk to an operations maturity guy. But
Yeah.
when it comes to growth potential, guys who can sell, which you and I and every other vendor in the space, that's what we really care about is can you sell and deploy this stuff? Are you going to be a partner who I can grow alongside with?
Hmm.
There's very, very clear indicators you can find from public presence, and that's the software we built.
So this comes back to the MSPs not good at sales and marketing, right? Like this all leads back to this one sentence. But can I flip some of those analytics into a problem position?
Sure.
I was just talking with somebody about this 2 hours ago. The old school techniques, the ones that people don't want to spend the effort and energy to do,
Mm-hmm.
still really work well. If
100%.
you're willing to hit the ground,
Mm-hmm.
Bible salesman, meetings, door to door,
That's
handshake,
right.
referral, like influence, the conversation that way, you
Mm-hmm.
can do a metric ton of business that has nothing to do with the metrics you just threw out there.
You can. And that's the so there's a bit of assumption here.
Mm-hmm.
If someone can't get it together to build up the public presence that would support a grinder, a
Mm-hmm.
functional professional who's dialing for dollars, knocking on doors, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got this 1995 HTML4 hard-coded website that's throwing a security error.
Mm.
There's going to be a problem when you're talking to someone about, we should talk to you about your cybersecurity. You should what?
Mm. That's a good point.
Someone who is
Good point.
investing in a sales team, an MSP who has gotten to the point where founder-led sales is no longer the focus. They have a salesman or a sales team. Absolutely is investing in the basics of
Mm.
marketing support because marketing and sales aren't supposed to be head to head. They need to go hand in hand and support each other all the way through. And the
So we're
website is the surefire thing that
so
people
we're
will invest in on
so we're
that.
talking we're this is we're playing the probabilities.
Correct.
What's more
You,
probable? What's more likely? There's always going to be exceptions, right?
oh
But
yeah,
like,
there's always edge cases.
yeah. But it's like, hey, if I need a more realistic answer, let's work off of the metric points that can be measured. Here are what they are. I follow what you're saying.
That's right. And so
I
if
follow.
I go back to that Write a Boom sample set, there's
Mm-hmm.
105 guys. 12 of them have it really dialed in. Great. This is where we're going to put our sales time on. Out of
Mm-hmm.
the 12, there's five elite ones. This is where the seniors, the very best, maybe we're going to fly out and try to take these guys to dinner because we
Mm-hmm.
know these ones are the cream of the crop. That 25, 28 of them that are in the middle, cool. That's in my mid tier. My junior SDR is going to run that. Those lower level ones, maybe I'll put the trainees on them. Hey, you're going to call these, they're garbage. Just go ahead and practice, like get your feet wet. If you win something cool, the rest of it, marketing, throw these, invite them to follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook, throw them onto the newsletter thing. We'll see if maybe one of them raises their hand.
Yeah,
But,
that's really interesting.
yeah, and
So,
then,
I mean, so at the end of the day, I mean, I can imagine this is going to be used in two different ways. One, if you're a vendor, supplier, software company, some sort of upstream solution to who wants to work with the IT services provider MSP, it's like, hey, time is the thing you can't get back. Where do you concentrate your time on? This is a way to concentrate and spend
right.
your time wisely. But on the other aspect, I can imagine, and I guess like part B of that would be, hey, if I'm a money guy, I'm an investor guy, I'm thinking about going to buy some MSPs. This is also where I'm going to concentrate my time, right? Like same
Mhm.
idea, right? Like and then on the other side of that is, hey, if I'm trying to do some sort of competitive analysis with people in my metro, my market, who are the people that are the gorillas versus who are the people that are just another guy.
That's right. Who has it dialed in? Where do I stack up? Competitive analysis for down to the zip code MSP level, 100%. A couple more things on there.
Mm,
Let's say you have two partners who come in and
hmm
they're both talking the same talk about how they're going to use your MDF, how they're the right partner to invest in.
mm.
And one of them, when you look at it, is doing all of the actions and the other one is just yapping. Who are you going to give the money to?
Yeah, I talk with other people who are responsible for MDF pretty regularly, and I has not changed in a decade. They say the same thing to me now. Most of our MDF goes unassigned,
Mm-hmm.
and because people either don't know to ask for it or don't qualify. And then the other part is hey, we have the budget allocated, but we're a little bit conservative with allocating it because we can't see return.
That's right. You can't track the actions and the ability to track those actions because it is publicly presented and seen. Oh yeah, XYZ company is doing it. Look at what they're doing. Let's keep funneling, let's keep investing versus ABC. Let's have some conversations
Mm.
and say, hey, here's the bar that we need to meet for us to move forward or to keep moving forward.
Okay, so we're adding MDF in top of marketplace analysis from a competitive standpoint, and who should I be spending my time on? You said you had a couple others.
Yeah. Another great one. So for acquisition, if you're a
Mm,
guy who's on the road a lot, you go all over.
mm,
If you're doing a road show and you have your partner base and you overlay instinct on top of your partner base and you say, hey, New York versus Chicago, I can only afford one. Of course I'm going to do New York. Way better market, way bigger, more opportunity, right? But maybe you're 70% penetrated into New York and only 20% in Chicago.
hmm
Is it truly the right market to focus on now? And because you know every MSP and you know all of their addresses, which gives you down to the zip code territory, total territory, you know your market penetration, zip code by zip code, metro by metro, so that you can campaign plan better.
Well, I will tell you, for as a guy who's done a lot of events and work with a team of people who create experiences and events, one of the hardest things to make an event successful is one, quantity of people,
Mm-hmm.
and two, right person in the room. Now, these are countering forces on any event planner's bingo card, but they're also the things that everyone struggles with. You could have the best event ever, but if nobody shows up, it no matter.
Mm-hmm. And that's the challenge.
Yeah, super frustrating.
Mm-hmm. And same thing happens like inbound leads. Every inbound lead, pop it up. What is this company? And you've got that instead of having to go to LinkedIn or hire someone who's, $150,000 a year to build out clay sequences that keep breaking all the time, just have the feed right there and go, oh, this is what this company looks like. I've got some questions I might want to ask.
Interesting. So you just added, hey, the Zoom good information in opposition to the Apollo, the Zoom Info, the all those guys, right? The aggregators of data that, but drill down to this specific industry.
That's right. We only like we're both Carrie and I are from this industry. We love MSPs, we love the channel. This is the one thing that we're doing. We're only trying to do this with one hyper focused industry
Mm.
segment. And when you're only trying to do one thing, you can try to do that one thing really, really, really well.
Well, I mean, here's the reality. I said the old school tactics still really, really work if you want to put the energy into it. Seems like a lot of your data, I'm sure the newer part of your data is, with the technology today, but it sounds like a lot of your data came from a lot of phone calls.
It did come from a lot of phone calls, and part of the software is building out a way to keep that data always up to date.
There it
And
is.
that's the way that we've done it. So it's not based off of data from 5, 6 years ago when we sold that call center. It's based off of data from 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Mm.
And it'll be updated next week. And then the week after that. And then the week after that. For as long as I keep paying Microsoft its pound of flesh out of my wallet.
Of course, they're always going to take your money, and raise their costs every 12 months while they're doing it.
12 months. Introduce me to your account manager. Mine doesn't, I don't get 12 months out of them.
Yeah, I know every MSP just heard that laughs because Microsoft 365 and changes their price all the time. Really interesting. I'm sure a lot of investor guys and gals out there are listening to this and saying that pitch deck I just saw did not have this information and was way bloated.
Mhm.
Might put some bad taste in a lot of people's mouths based on what you're saying is the actual addressable market.
It's an interesting thing, and it's one of those where I love the debate because everybody's got their own way of defining it. So it's
Mm.
by our definition, right? Which I mentioned. They're offering those fixed fee service contracts, they're offering those core four services, consultation advice, some sort of support activity, some sort of security services, some sort of business continuity services. Those four things in a recurring model defines an MSP to us. Now, I'm not saying that, you could have an MSP that does block hour agreements and they're
Mm.
selling blocks every month. That's still an MSP. It's just that's a billing decision,
Yeah.
right? But that's like they're doing a fixed fee agreement. You could have a guy who has like a fixed fee and then
But
time and
that
material
guy,
on
so
top.
but
That's fine.
that guy who's still doing block hours is included in your 16,000 calculation.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
But the
But
audio visual guy who dabbles in networking, not in the 16,000.
correct. Correct.
The
He's going to
surveillance, point of sale, copier, structured cabling, electrician who maybe does this on the side. None of those people are in the 16,000.
That's right. They very likely, some of them, I mean, not all of them, are going to show up in the database, but we're going to say, hey, that's a technology company, but they're not even doing managed services.
What about the accountant company that has a technology practice?
That is going to show up as a company that has a managed service arm, but it's not their primary business model.
Oh,
Same thing with a
okay.
copier company that has an MSP arm. It'll say, hey, this is a copier company. They sell managed services as a division, but it's
I
not
see.
they're not a pure play MSP.
So that's the difference between the 16,000 and the 45,000.
Correct. You're going to have the folks who have maybe a managed arm or folks who aren't doing it at all.
So if you were to guess, right? And I don't want to, I'm not trying to point fingers at anyone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Jay McBain is a name in the industry that does a lot of this, at a
Mhm.
high level, reports and dashboards and infographics and stuff, or, like the companies who source this data. Like, if we were to guess, where is the gap between the 45,000 or 40,000 and the 90? Like, it's a big gap. If we were to guess, what fills this other bucket of companies? What are they then?
Bad data. If I was going to
Hmm.
guess, and I don't want to, so I don't want to, I am not a qualified data scientist. Okay.
There.
Like I haven't gone to data science school. I don't have a data science degree, right? I'm just some knucklehead who went through night school and put himself through that and learned engineering and I'm a Microsoft Cisco jock and I just love data and I'm
Mm,
good at finding patterns. All of these different data sources, right? Like there are some fundamental things in data analysis shops, Forrester, Canalys, stuff like that, where there is some financial benefit for them for being able to show some market opportunity. And I'm not gonna like I don't want to go further than that because that's not I know that's not your show and that's not like I don't want to throw mud there, but there's some financial benefits for those guys talking about how data can be scrubbed. And
mm,
data is a number. And you can have three different people look at the same number and come to three different conclusions.
yeah.
And from their perspective, all three of them might be right in their own way. But bad data is going to be my fearless estimation that there is old data,
Mm,
junk data, badly quantified data. And I think it really does point back to that lack of an NAICS or SIP code that
yeah.
makes us hard to classify. There's
I hope at some point the government does catch up to this
Mhm.
bubble, the sandbox, and does put a specific code to it. Like I would hope. I feel like the people who came up with those codes are the accountants, are the lawyers. That's why there's 18 subdivisions for them, right? But for everyone else, not so much.
Yeah, that's a tech company. Just throw it in one of those. It'll be
Yeah.
fine. But there's
Computer
still,
repair. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, computer repair, computer services, computer design services,
What is that?
software design services. Like there's so many different ones,
Yeah.
depending on what someone filled out and how often do you change that code? I
Almost
haven't
never.
talked to anyone who's ever changed their code ever. Like you fill it out once and you're like, yeah, that whatever, that's what we're going to be from now on.
Yeah, when you go to literally form your company, that's when you put a code in, and then they just copy that onto every tax return you ever make.
That's right. The only time you're going to change it is when your old code causes you a problem. You're like, okay, what's my new code, Mr. Accountant? Cool, that's my new code now.
Yeah, that's true. So this is interesting. Um, I'm gonna now use this as the basis point to cross-check now because I've been
Yep.
asking this question arbitrarily, but now I've run into somebody who actually has definitive information rather than, this. Um, how do people get access to this very dialed in information versus the very bloated bad data information?
So shoot me a note. I'm super active on LinkedIn. It's my name, Ian Alexander Richardson. You could grab me there, Ian at foxcrowgroup.com. Let's talk about it. But that's the platform is live and we built it to help people answer these questions and more. And the part I'm most excited about is when someone goes in there and says, "Hey, how could we answer this question?" And it's the question that I never would have thought of that. Let's figure out how.
Mm.
So we
Oh,
we
hey,
sell subscriptions to it. Happy to have the conversations.
you know, I can't wait for people to come and I get people do listen to this, which is great. Right? You put it out there, who knows who pays attention. I get
All right.
messages, regularly with people who are like, I'm not so sure that person knew what they were talking about. I think where this is going to be a highly charged, I think I'll get some responses on this one. We're like, I don't believe his information. I'm like, oh, hey, listen, I, I don't have any reason to question. I mean,
Oh,
other than the data's like we're talking about 2x difference, right? Like 100% difference, 90 to 40. Like that is not a small number, but
mhm. And
I,
it's
I,
just it's all I'm basing it off of is what an MSP puts out online.
yeah,
What does their website say? What does their social say? What are they doing in public? Someone without a website, I don't have you in my count. Maybe there's
okay.
40,000 guys without websites out there.
Yeah,
Could
that that
be.
that probability of that's probably not like some, yes, but
Yeah,
40,000, that's tough. It's tough to justify that one.
that's right. So it's just
Yeah.
based off of what they're telling the world.
Now, how many of the 40,000 have an expired SSL certificate? Some.
Yeah, I'd have to we actually so I have that information and I'd have to run it. Just
Okay.
like how many of them are using Office versus Google? If you guessed Microsoft is the majority, you'd be right.
Yeah. No, that one I could have guessed. So wait a minute. We maybe skipped over this real quick. So you're tracking what companies they publicly say they're partnered with.
Yeah,
Like could be if it's Dell or if it's Microsoft or if it's SonicWall or whatever. Like they all seem to post all the partnerships or something like that. You're tracking what
if
they
you're
post on.
putting it out there, we can dial it in and say, oh, well, here you go.
Okay. I want
It's
a list of
amazing.
all Microsoft partners. So we just use that one. I'm sure it's the
Yeah.
like 90 something percent.
Easiest way would be to say, hey, what's their mail service provider? And look at that. It's linked over to M365. Here you go.
That makes sense. Spam protection solution.
That's right. That's
Awesome.
right.
This was very enlightening. I
Well,
cannot wait for the people who think that they have a better number to come and challenge.
that's let me know when they show up. I'll pop in the audience and ask some questions.
I almost want to do a panel. Be like, all right, let's
That'd be
see
fun.
let's see what everybody let's hash this out like once and for all. Everybody has this different number. I want let's figure out why it's so different. It would be curious to see the defense, right? To that point. But I
Oh
think
yeah.
I think you, in this 1 hour session, I think you really did a great job of saying, hey, listen, I can stand by this information. And here's how I can quantify it. And here's why it is the way that it is. Where these other 40,000 companies couldn't tell you.
That's right. And like, if someone finds them, let me know. I'll throw them into the system. We'll classify them too.
Yeah. Something I'm totally guessing on the way out the door here, but I gotta assume, maybe even educated guess, there's a lot of misclassification.
100%.
A lot of people getting roped into this, like yeah, Georgia's, physical security and surveillance, and they're being
Now it's an
classified
MSP.
as a.
Yep. Being classified as MSP just because it's broad basis. That NAICS and SIC code, like you're going to have a big swath of stuff where they're like, what's a managed service provider?
Or even
Without,
I bet you there's like even people who are in adjacent industries, like the marketing SEO website builder,
oh, big time. Big time.
and it's like, well, how are they
ISPs,
an MSP? I don't get it.
internet service providers, 100%. Cabling guys, like you mentioned, electricians.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of that. It has to be.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense to me. But 40,000 of that, phew, that's a
There's
lot of
a,
time spent in the wrong place.
but there's a lot of marketing companies out there. So,
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, I'm going to repeat one more time. Ian Richardson from Fox and Crow Group. So foxcrow.com.
foxcrowgroup.com.
Perfect. Thank you for fixing that.
Yep.
Guys, this session was recorded. I promise you people will rewind it because I'm sure I'll get it. But you can listen, download, forward, share, like, subscribe, mspinitiative.com. That'll backlink you to the YouTubes and the podcatchers and all that good stuff. Ian, are we going to see you at any events since we talked about them coming up?
We will, both Carrie and I will be at Chicago at the GTIA upcoming event.
Yep, formerly
And
CompTIA, yeah.
yeah, the organization formerly known as CompTIA. So we will be there the rest of the year, TBD.
Okay.
TBD, but I know that we'll be in Chicago because it's only 4 hours away from home.
Perfect. Well, we look forward to seeing you there, guys. Keep watching these. I love what comes out of them because, by the way, I did not talk to Ian before this. We didn't compare notes. There was not hey, we need to talk about these points. This is just two guys at the bar, right? And
That's
I'll
right.
tell you what, I love what comes out of these. I
Yeah.
really do.
Hey,
Stay warm
thanks for
down
having me
there.
on.
Tell Carrie I said hi.
I certainly will.
Catch you guys on the flip side.
All right.
See you guys.